there. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
I am Jared. How are you? What is your name?
My name's Adam.
Nice to meet you, Adam. So, what is said point you were trying to make here?
Do you believe that it's wrong to hurt animals?
I believe that it is wrong to actively try and hurt animals, but see, it is in our nature and we have specifically evolved to try and hunt and kill animals in the quickest way possible, I feel. And this farming thing that we've got going with either plants or, meat, it's evolved, we've evolved to kind of do that. We're made to eat, and, just depriving ourselves of a certain part of that food is, just making us a bit unhealthy, I feel.
So when you see roadkill, that makes you hungry?
No, why would... See, roadkill isn't, that's more just accidental murder, That's murder on the side.
Well, I mean, if we look at carnivorous animals, or even omnivorous animals, like a dog is an omnivorous animal, right?
Yes.
So now if a dog sees a roadkill, the dog salivates, the dog gets excited, the dog gets hungry.
Indeed. Yes, but the difference between us and a dog is that we're not, little animals with a brain that's hindered. We are actual creatures. We are a lot more sentient. We have, restraints, and I mean, there is probably some homeless man going about eating roadkill, but
that's out of necessity.
That's out of necessity,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, if we look at can you think of any carnivorous animal or any omnivorous animal that would look at a roadkill and not get hungry?
It depends. There are a lot of animals in nature that do have standards when it comes to, their food, and are very picky. Say, the elegant and graceful lion or, tiger. They both stalk their prey and make sure that it's fresh. They're not scavengers. There's a difference between scavengers and hunters or, predators.
Okay. But when you look at that, when you look at roadkill, what are the feelings that go through you?
Well, I feel roadkill would actually be pretty bloody delicious if it weren't, infested with maggots. You can make meat out of anything, really. There are a lot of animals that are yet to be harvested for their meat that we could actually create a big business harvesting them.
Okay. But again, you're saying that we're made to eat meat, and if you're talking about animals, primates, if you look at any primate that eats meat, what meat-eating primate would turn down roadkill?
What meat-eating primate? I'm not too big on the whole monkey business, but I don't know. I don't know a lot of monkeys that eat meat, actually.
So, but now an herbivore would look at the roadkill and probably not be attracted to it. They'd probably think that it looks and smells bad.
Well, yes, because it's in their nature to not eat meat, they find sustenance through other means. So, say every creature's environment kind of shapes how it sees food. So say a herbivore will look at a tree or something and be like, yo, that's some delicious looking leaves. Well, us humans would be like, nah. Say a sloth sees a hamburger, he's going to be like, no, I don't want that hamburger. Whilst a human's going to look at that hamburger and wolf it down the first moment he can.
And how closely does that hamburger resemble a dead animal?
I mean, it resembles a chunk of an animal that's been cut off. I say it looks pretty much like a dead animal. I mean, if it were just off the bone, I would go ahead and eat it if it were, essential. Because it does provide me with the, bare minimum than what I need. I mean, well, not bare minimum, it provides me a lot more than what I need than if I were to go and eat a plant.
Does it provide you with any fiber?
No. Well, I mean, it depends on the animal, really.
No, it doesn't. Does it provide you with any vitamin C?
No. That's why there's a thing where you eat both of those things, or you get them through other means. Water does have minerals in it, I think, and vitamins.
Okay. Now, you said that we need you alluded to needing certain nutrients that we can get through meat?
Well, you can get that through plants, but say, from one thing of beef, you the iron in there, you would need a couple kg of kale to be able to get that, and that's considered the most iron-heavy plant.
Or half a cup of beans?
No, I mean, yeah. Again, it really depends on, what you're doing. If you like eating meat, cool. If you don't, that's fine. It really depends on how your body really changes to, fit your diet.
Well, again, but you believe that it's wrong to hurt animals?
It is wrong to hurt animals, but I feel it's fine to kill them for meat and what you need.
Would it be fine if we were killing dogs and cats for meat?
Yes, it would be fine if they weren't domesticated animals.
And what about being domesticated makes it not fine?
Well, because they're pets and they're cherished by people. So with other animals, say non-domesticated, it's fine because no other human has an emotional connection to them.
Okay. And you don't think that's hypocritical to say that it's okay to eat some animals but not other animals based on whether or not they're domesticated?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's not like I'm going to go eat the neighbor's cat or anything. Like, if it were a common place where you'd be eating cats, I would eat cats. But it's not, because it's shunned upon by certain people. So, yeah. And plus, cat doesn't actually taste that good, so it's not really something you'd want to try.
And what is it about domestic cats that makes it wrong to eat them?
Well, it's because, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind eating someone's domesticated cat, like, honestly. It would be fine if I ate the neighbor's cat. If it was my cat, though, I wouldn't mind. He's my cat, He's just vibing. I wouldn't eat him. But, like, if I needed to, I would eat a neighbor's cat, yes.
Well, I mean, if we needed to, we'd do a lot of things. If you needed to, you might eat other people.
I mean, yeah, that's cannibalism for you.
I mean, in a survival situation and if necessity dictates.
Yeah.
But if we find ourselves not in a survival situation, then what makes it ethically okay to cause pain and suffering to animals so that we could eat them if we don't need to?
See, meat is delicious, alright? It is amazing. And, like, it's more or less some people find thrill in eating because there's so many different variants of flavors you can find within meat. And most of them, free-range cows are fine. They're raised well and they're put to death, in a easy, kind of quick way. But if it's with an animal, like if it's non-free-range, I get that because they kind of raise them like crap. But I mean, with free-range, they live a good life and they die serving a purpose. See, there's a food chain for the reason. We're at the top of it. We just make the most of it. We get the resources we need, and once we've got all our needs, we just, fulfill our wants, which wants are, say, taste, and it just so happens that a lot more people find, pleasure in eating meat because it tastes a lot better.
Where to even start with that? So, now you talked about all the different meats having different flavors, most of which comes from herbs and seasonings, which are all vegan and vegetables.
Yeah, but you don't get the pure meaty experience. Have you ever had a vegan hamburger? They are disgusting compared to a juicy, succulent burger that's had herbs and spices mushed into it. It's quite the experience. You should try it sometime.
Have you ever had a bad steak?
Well, I mean, yeah, everyone has a bad steak, but if you do it right, then it's good.
Okay, so you understand that a steak can be done good or bad.
Yeah.
So do you think vegan food could be done good or bad?
Most of the time it's done really bad. Unless you're like Gordon Ramsay levels of excellent. Most vegan food is bland compared to it. And you can get like the same smoky flavor. But you can never match that original meaty taste unless we, develop further, science-wise. And once we reach that state, I don't think we need to farm anymore, so...
So you're saying that your desire for a meaty taste justifies hurting animals?
Yes, it does. We're on the top of the food chain. We take advantage of it. If it goes wrong for us and cows start eating us because they evolved to not, be eaten, then cool. It's life. You just got to take it as it comes.
Now, you're at the top of the food chain.
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, let's say we took a couple of piranhas that weigh about 10 or 12 ounces each, throw you in a tank full of them. How long are you going to last?
Well, you're not going to last long. It's depending on the situation. You throw a lion in a cage full of, poisonous wasps. The poisonous wasps are going to win. But they're still above in the food chain because the wasps don't mess with them. And fun fact, piranhas don't actually go for anything unless they're bleeding out, so you'll be fine.
Piranhas go for anything that moves and they'll eat it until there's no bone left.
No, that's wrong. They either go for small prey or they're scavengers most of the time, going for...
Piranhas will eat a cow if the cow is crossing the river.
It depends on if they're bleeding or not.
So would you agree or disagree that the baseline of any ethical system is that it's wrong to cause unnecessary harm to others?
I think it is wrong, yeah, but if you're putting them down humanely, then I think it's fine. Some people put them down by, slicing their throat and letting them bleed out. That's inhumane. I would agree, that is wrong. But quickly taking them out with stun gun, pretty much just fires a bullet, retracts it back into the thing, I think it's called, then that's fine, because it instantly takes them out of their, misery.
And what about the 50% or so of the time that doesn't work?
Well, those people should go and find different careers, that's what I think.
Well, it's not the people using the technology, that's the technology.
Oh. I don't know. Not really my problem. They find their own moral boundaries. They do what they gotta do. they're just earning a living in the end. They're just trying to, provide for the family. And
So it's okay that what they're doing, what they do, even though you're the one ultimately paying for them to do it?
I think it's fine, yeah. They're just providing the meat that I so graciously enjoy.
So the suffering of others isn't really important to you because you enjoy it?
Well, the thing is, like, the cows don't suffer that much if you're going free range. I'm not worrying about any of that non-free range stuff because, the weird activist people are going to deal with it themselves. I worry about, just buying free range stuff. The animals don't suffer throughout their entire life, and eventually when it ends, they're happy, they're fine.
And you think they're killed humanely?
Yep.
Okay, so now a slaughterhouse is a place, and I can show you videos of slaughterhouses if you'd like.
Oh, it's very violent, yes.
But a slaughterhouse is basically a big factory where living, breathing, feeling animals go in one door, and chopped up little pieces of meat come out the other door.
Exactly, that's how
And
we get our meat.
you're telling me that something humane happens between those two doors?
Indeed, they are instantly killed. It is a pleasant experience. Well, most of the time they have a little goat to kind of make them comfortable, make them feel at home. And then, they're quickly put out of their misery so they don't have to experience being cut up by thousands of tiny little blades.
Now, here in New Zealand, we've got what most people around the world look to as the world's highest animal welfare standards. Mm-hmm. Right? I can show you video from New Zealand slaughterhouses of the opposite of what you think is happening. Mm-hmm. Do you want to see this footage?
I would love to. I myself. We are watching something now.
Now, this is all standard. This is industry standard practice. This is not exceptions to the rule. This is the rule.
Okay.
This is all industry standard. This is the world's highest animal welfare standards that we're watching here.
Now that is some excellent caging they have there.
Would you want to live in that excellent caging?
If I was a dirty pig, I would enjoy it. You got the mud, you got the water, they provide you with the food. I think it's quite the wonderful life. It's better than being a pig in the wild who's just going to get mauled to death by a tiger or something. Well, not tiger, well, any other animal that consumes pig.
Be careful what you wish for.
I know. I am not a pig, though, so I should be fine. Oh, look at the little dude go. He's just vibing in that lovely little enclosure. Yeah, I think this is fine.
Yep. So if it's fine, you would trade places with the pig?
If I was a dirty little pig, I would enjoy it. I would have a safe, enclosed life, and I would die knowing that I've provided a household with the food they require.
How would you know that?
Well, I wouldn't know that I'm a dumb pig. I'd die, and that would be it. I wouldn't have changed society, but do you think a bloody pig is going to change something? What is he going to do? Is he going to end war? No, it's just a pig. He's just vibing.
Do these look like happy pigs to you?
Well, how am I meant to tell? They don't express emotion. They don't jump around golly-gilly. It's not like in those fairy tales they tell you. The pigs just go around. In fact, pigs can get pretty violent out in the wild. Have you seen the boar? Tens of hundreds of people are killed by boars in the wild every year.
Do dogs and cats express emotion?
Yes, they are somewhat happy creatures, yes.
Oh, they're happy when they're treated well, they're unhappy when they're treated unwell?
Indeed, they are.
Okay. And have you ever spent time with a pig?
Not really.
So would you be surprised if I said that pigs express emotion just the same as a dog does?
Yeah. To me, compared to a dog or something that's in captivity, it's a pretty happy pig.
So if we did this to dogs, you'd be cool with it?
Oh, you'd have to say this enclosure is built around, say, a pig's happiness.
No, it's not. Actually, it's not built around the pig's happiness. It's built around how to profit from the pig's exploitation.
Yes, but here it's more or less, a safe enclosure. The pig can have,
How is it safe if the pig is killed?
Well, it's safe from any actual harm. It's not suffering anything until it dies. After that, its body's minced up. Yeah.
So you're saying that these living conditions are prior to being sent to the slaughterhouse, that those are not suffering conditions?
I think those are golly old conditions for a group of pigs to spend their days in.
Really?
Yes.
So then you would trade places. So then you would trade places with that pig, and you would be happy.
Again, if I had equivalent conditions as a human, then yeah, pig standards from what I have seen are pretty low in terms of living conditions. I've seen some happy pigs living in shit houses before. And these look like, generally good places.
Generally good places covered in shit.
Yes, pigs do, expel fecal matter from their bodies, and the farmers do spend their time cleaning them out.
You don't see any footage of the farmers cleaning it out, actually.
Because you only show us what you want us to see. You only show us the pigs suffering. You only show us the pigs, dying. In the end, you shut out all the footage of them frolicking in the farmlands, having a good old life before they die. See, this is them indoors, and, before they're going to be excommunicated. But it's only a bit of suffering before their inevitable life. The farmlands there, in New Zealand, are some of the best quality, man. I've seen some pretty, I may not know a lot about pigs, I may not spent a lot of time around pigs, but I've seen, when I was a kid around farms, and the pigs are just vibing.
Yeah.
Look at the little dude go.
Yeah, so what are we looking at here?
We're looking at a pig in a small little shed. There's a heating lamp to keep them nice, warm, and safe. In the wild, do you have heating lamps?
In the wild, are pigs bred into existence in the wild?
Yes, they have sex.
That's not being bred into existence. That's reproducing naturally.
I mean, they still, have sex in the end, unless they're, fertilized by humans. I think that's fine then. Then it means it's more of a safe fertilization. And in the wild, the pigs would die. A lot of pigs would die before they're even born. And here, they're conceived pretty safely.
So here they're artificially inseminated, and the runts are usually killed when they're a few days old.
I mean, it's better than letting them live a life of, suffering. If they're, runts, that means they're most likely going to die at a young age.
No, it just means they don't grow fast enough to be profitable.
Yeah. You win some, you lose some. Some say.
Yeah. So, now you wouldn't want to trade places with these. Now, you said that...
Again, if equivalent conditions for a human, I would be fine with it.
Okay.
If I knew, say, as a human, I would probably have some information that I would be providing someone with something, then I'd be happy with it.
So equivalent conditions to how these pigs are raised for human might be something like spending your entire life strapped into an airplane seat. You'd be cool with that?
Airplanes have the most lovely conditions. They feed you, they bring you water. Yeah. They have a lovely toilet that they can actually bring you to.
No, but you're not going to go to the toilet. You're going to be strapped into the seat for your entire life.
See, but the equivalent here is that they have ground, they have dirt to, crap on.
They don't have dirt, they have concrete.
Oh, concrete. They have concrete to crap on, making it a lot easier for the farmers to clean it up.
Except they don't clean it up, and their natural environment is to not be on concrete, so that makes it very uncomfortable for them.
Again, this is in their either, say being contained. Most of the time they're out in fields just having a good gale time.
Yeah. Now, you think that this is just the worst of the worst footage, and this is, what the vegans are showing?
This is average, slightly below average.
Slightly below average, okay. But you think good things happen in these places?
I think some farmers create some lovely bonds with some little piglets. I think little Timmy, the farmer's son, is going to enjoy living amongst the farm animals, seeing them pass and go. It's a wonderful little business they have running, providing food, shelter to these pigs, and then eventually killing them and granting those pigs well, I'd say it's a better death than any human. What are you getting out of a human's death? You get a nice little stone slab in the middle of a field. With a pig, they are actually sustaining other people. So it's I'd say it's a pretty good business.
Well, I'm not talking about the business. I'm talking about the pigs.
Oh, yeah. The pigs are a part of it, yeah.
Well, the pigs are the business when they're exploited.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say exploited. Again, they're given shelter, they're giving homes, a family.
Are they given that out of the kindness of the farmer's heart, or are they doing that because there's a profit motive?
Well, of course there's a profit motive. Everyone has to earn their money, and it's a way to earn money, but it's also a way to actually allow a lot of people to eat. Some people don't eat plants. Some people just don't like the taste of it. Some people enjoy, a nice roast meal, pig, beef. You've got some, you don't have gravy with that sort of stuff. You could have artificial gravy and artificial meat. What's it going to get you? Some, dull, bland tofu.
No, why do you think the word exploited wouldn't be the right word to use here?
Well, I mean, okay, yeah, you are right. They are exploited for their flesh. But, I mean, in the end, you gain more out of the pig dying. If it was in the wild, it would die and nothing would happen to it. It would return to nature and just rot away and feed.
In terms of water resources, food resources, land resources, we don't get more out of raising the pig. We get less out of raising the pig because we wind up consuming water and food.
More out of raising the pig. We get meat, we get money, we get farmland. The pigs get to live in these lovely farmlands which are secluded from predators that would murder them in the wild. In fact, I know the medicine and, the healthcare for these little piggies is pretty trite, but they still get healthcare at the bare minimum. Like, they are at least, somewhat taken care of with some, like, shitty medicine.
They're injected with antibiotics to help and other things to help them grow faster, and so they don't get sick from living in each other's shit. Is that really healthcare, or is that just, again, a more efficient...
This isn't living in that shit. Remember, they go out into fields, play happy willy-nilly, and sometimes they're in bonds. It depends if you're having very closed-off pins of...
I don't see any fields in these videos.
Because you show us what you want us to see. You show us the slight amount, not slight, maybe it's a bit more than slight, but you show us the bits that look bad. It's like, oh, scary pigs in dark rooms being slaughtered. Oh God.
So
but you don't show us the rest of it. You don't show us the families enjoying their, Saturday night roasts. You don't show us them, at least in the fields. You don't show us everything else.
So if there's all this, so if you think there's good things that happen in these facilities and where pigs are raised and killed, then why is it only the vegans that...
They're taken to slaughterhouses.
And what happens to them in the slaughterhouses if they're not killed?
They're there for like a couple days, they die.
They're tickled to death?
Well, no, they're instantly killed.
No, except we went over that actually that's a myth.
No, it's not. Stun guns are a real thing. Not as in, the stun ones, the ones that release the metal spike. They use it for fishing as well. They kill instantly.
Those are captive bolt guns. When they're used properly, they kill instantly. Actually, they're used to, depending on the animal, they're used to stun the animal, not kill the animal. But in either case, we have lots and lots of footage here of the animals after they're stunned being hung upside down, and they're still obviously suffering.
I guess that's if you have a really shitty farmer, but look, it's evolved quite a lot from 2014. We do have humane ways to take care of these animals. And even if they are still somewhat conscious, they're not going to feel the pain. They have a giant hole in their brain. They're not going to really feel much of it.
What does humane mean to you?
Humane means, a swift death or either, a justified death, and their death is justified to feed families.
Well, we could feed families without killing them.
What would we get, though? Bland tofu. People would die of boredom. It would be white meals. Oh, look, I'm going to enjoy this lovely white tofu block with some soy sauce. I don't like that. No one likes white tofu block with soy sauce. You could say you like white tofu block with soy sauce, but it's never going to reach the succulence of a meaty, juicy burger, barbecue sauce, bacon strips. It's amazing.
So, if good things happen in these places, then why is it that we rely on vegans to show the footage of it? Why aren't the farmers showing the footage of it?
Well, because they're trying to advertise their business, and most of the time, they don't even advertise. They don't need to. They just offer their products to the people who are buying from them, and just like, hey, I want meat, and they give them the meat.
Except in countries like New Zealand, billions and billions of dollars are spent marketing meat, eggs, and dairy.
Yeah, when they market it, they say, most of the time, it's like, New Zealand farm-bred free-range Angus. It's always lovely. Have you not been up north with all the lovely, luscious farmlands filled with animals? Have you?
I grew up on a farm. I grew up eating animals that we killed in the backyard.
Oh, well,
I was hands-on with that.
Then you should understand, or it is blind ignorance. Either or. Either or, you should understand that there is purpose out of their death. There is something to gain from their death, and that is either a lovely meal or supplying families with the nutrients they need.
What nutrients do they need that they can't get from plants?
Well, unless you want to eat a kg of kale, then...
Or half a cup of beans.
Half a cup of beans, yeah, but who enjoys the taste of beans? Again, most of the time it's the taste.
So if I can take any beef stew recipe, right? And I can substitute the beef, take out the beef, and instead add in kidney beans. Now, if it's a good beef stew recipe, do you think that wouldn't taste good with the kidney beans?
It would taste horrible without the beef stew. I've had beef stew without the beef in it before. The meat releases the succulent juices out into it. It absorbs the flavors of all the, the loveliness. Kidney beans are good when paired with a nice, burrito with some mince in it. But it's again, the taste is always going to be better when it's meat.
Do you think you have an obsession with succulent juices?
Yes, I love me some succulent juices.
Do you think that affects how you view ethics towards others?
No.
But you think it's okay to kill others and chop them up into pieces so you can enjoy their succulent juices?
Yeah, I think it's fine if they are killed humanely and lead a wonderful and happy life out in the farm. If it means they suffer 1 or 2 days where they, go shit and then they have a justified death, then it's fine.
So again, you're saying that it's okay to inflict pain, suffering, and death on others so that you can enjoy succulent juices.
Most of the time they are killed humanely.
Except when they're not, which we have the video here, and we can see lots of times when they're stunned, and then they're hung upside down, have their throats slit, and they're still obviously conscious, they're still obviously struggling, they're still obviously suffering.
Okay, so these new model stun guns they instantly take it out. There are things that happen where the body does move about when it's dead. A lot of vegans say there's a footage of someone cutting meat and it's so jiggling about. It's just muscles doing the thing after they die.
No, because we know that some of them are killed by the captive bolt gun, some of them are not. So we know some of them just hang there limp, like we would expect a dead body to hang there. But we know that other bodies are still struggling.
Then you're going to not use a stun gun. If you are smart, then you're going to pay $200 to buy a stun gun, which I'm sure a farmer can afford with how well they're paid.
But they're paid by people like you who justify this by your enjoyment of succulent juices.
And they're paid for by loving families who provide their children with wonderful meals. They're paid by, people in the army who feed their, soldiers. They're paid by actual people.
Okay, but so are vegetable farmers, so are fruit farmers.
Yeah, but, okay, they're the same thing. It's just vegetables have less of the whole, slaughterhouse bit.
So they're the same thing. So are you saying that there's no ethical difference between chopping a carrot and slitting a pig's throat?
There's a huge difference. With a carrot, it's just a plant. He's just vibing. But with an animal, I guess it takes more effort. It takes a lot more of a man to be able to run a farm.
You mean it inflicts more pain it inflicts pain and suffering?
Again, maybe 2014, I would agree with you with the shitty stun guns, but nowadays with the ever so enhancing technology of the 2020, then I think not.
And how far has this bolt gun technology advanced since, let's say, last 50 years?
It kills things easier. That's what it's meant to do. It's on a Mida multi-tool. It's you just stun things to death. That's it.
You stun things to death?
No, you stun it to death. As in, you kill it, and if not, it's not going to be feeling much.
Except when it obviously is.
Well, yeah, again, if you're a mongoloid, yes, but if not, then cool, you can place it in the right spot where if it kills it, then cool. If it doesn't, it's going to be paralyzed and not feel anything.
Paralyzed has nothing to do with not feeling.
I mean, these are they have ways of placing in the right spot so that if it is to fail, it is to remove said pain from, said poor creature.
Except it's not about removing pain, it's about maximizing profits and the efficiency at which they're exploited.
The stun gun isn't making efficient, okay, you know what profits being made from stun guns? Some little science man making it.
No, so the reason they use the stun guns has nothing to do with the animal welfare. The reason they use the stun guns
What do you mean it's meant to kill them humanely? If it weren't for the stun gun, we would still be slitting their throats and watching them bleed out, having sadistic farmers leer over them.
If it weren't for the stun gun, the people who work in the slaughterhouses would get kicked to death while trying to hoist them upside down.
Indeed, they would, and that's where modern technology comes in.
So it's not. So it has nothing. So the reason they use those captive bolt guns has nothing to do with the animal welfare. It has to do with the health and safety of the people who are killing the animals.
It's that, and it is also used to provide them with a swift death. Look, they do have animal welfare people who have to check up on this. They do have, people come in and say, okay, tick this off, they're good, tick, make sure that everything's up to date and safe.
And here in New Zealand, do you know how many people are employed and visiting those facilities and enforcing those animal welfare standards?
Not really, but I know it is a thing.
It's a thing?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many farms and slaughterhouses they visit in a typical day?
How many they visit? I mean, a lot. It's their job to do so. I imagine they do visit
It's a lot. I think there's about a dozen or two people in the entire country who are employed in that role. So how many of those facilities do you think they
have to visit every 1 or 2 months to come in and just make sure everything's okay? It's not like they immediately turn their back and go back to flailing the animals, sacrificing them to Satan or something.
But again, we see what standard practice is. In standard practice, you said you wouldn't want to trade places with them. So if you wouldn't want to trade places with them,
I would trade places with them with an equal, like a condition equally as bad or good. You know, I'd trade places with them. You know, for example,
so you trade places with these pigs getting hung upside down and having their throats slit.
If I was a piggy, yes.
Well, I mean, we're not talking if you were a pig. We're saying you. Would you trade places with them?
I mean, if I were to know that, you know, I would die providing meat for people, then yes. You know what? Because it's more of an honorable death than any, you know, modern age people are going to face.
So you're looking at this footage of pigs being killed in the slaughterhouse and you're saying that's an honorable death?
Well, I mean, the death itself is not honorable, but what is to come of it is definitely something to admire.
So you're saying the ends justify the means?
Yeah.
And the ends here is your desire for savory juices?
Well, no, not just my desires. All of these people, like, how many people here eat meat, you know? Yeah, anyone else eat meat? I assume there are a lot of people shy here, but a lot of people eat meat, as shown by every bloody place selling it.
Oh, there's been times in history when a lot of people owned slaves, but that didn't make it right.
Well, I mean, the difference here between slaves and, you know, animals is that the animals nowadays aren't tortured. If you were like a farmer in like the 1200s, I'm sure they would torture their animals.
Why would they torture it if it wasn't profitable? And how can you say that this is not torture?
Back in the day, they would just worry about survival, and even back then, they still had to eat meat. Like, meat is a lot you can gain a lot more out of it than, you know, just wheats and stuff.
Well, you can gain a lot more cholesterol, you can gain a lot more saturated fats, you can gain a lot more trans fats. What is it that we need that we can gain from meat that we can't gain better from vegan foods?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a foodologist. I know there are, you know, a lot of things that you are missing out on as a vegan, and that's why a lot of vegans. So think of like
So if somebody's a vegan for some period of time, they would have deficiencies.
I mean, yeah. Have you seen like there are dogs out there that people are trained to be vegan? They say they're all right, and they are looking on the deathbed.
Okay, but we're talking about people here. So how long would a person be vegan for before they started experiencing nutritional deficiencies, do you think?
Again, I don't know, but like a lot of vegan people do look really unhealthy.
Do you think a lot of unvegan people don't look unhealthy?
I mean, yeah, people who eat nothing but burgers. I'm talking about normal people, just normal people who, you know, casually eat meat. They don't really worry about it.
But again, you're insisting that there's a deficiency that vegans would experience.
Yes, from the lack of a lot of the things that you need.
Lack of anything in particular?
Well, I mean, I don't know the exact name of said things, but I do know that you are missing out on a lot.
So, and what would be the symptoms of this? Because if there's a nutritional deficiency...
I don't know, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying from personal experience of seeing my friends turn vegan that a lot of them end up feeling weak. Some feel even dizzy. It's like...
And we don't know any meat eaters who feel weak and dizzy?
I mean, not at the moment. I don't have friends who are vegan because we all enjoy a good meal of meat.
But you said you're basing it on experience, but you don't have any friends who are vegan.
Well, I mean, I had friends who are vegan. They are no longer vegan.
Okay. But again, if there's a nutritional deficiency in a vegan diet, how long would it take for that deficiency to manifest itself and become apparent in a person either appearing or experiencing?
I don't record all this stuff. I'm not like you. I don't watch people eat beans all day. I'm just a normal person. I just vibe, you know?
Oh, except you're a normal person who's insisting that there's a nutritional deficiency in a vegan diet, yes. But you can't tell me what that deficiency might be. I don't know or how long it would take to manifest.
There are some people who could just look at something and say, hey, there's something wrong with that person. And, I mean, I don't know what exactly is wrong, but I know there's something wrong.
Okay, so if we go to, actually, let's say in Auckland, okay, the Starship Hospital in Auckland, as Children's Hospital, every year they have about 5,000 admissions for children under 2 with nutritional deficiencies. Mm-hmm. Okay, can you take a guess at how many of those? So it's 5,000 kids a year in one hospital in New Zealand, under the age of 2, every year. Mm-hmm. Can you take a guess at how many of those kids are vegans?
Look, who's going to force their 2-year-olds to not eat meat or like eat meat? At that point, the kids don't decide. Like people who change other people's diets, say their children, to fit the vegans like a lifestyle, are very far and few between. That's why a lot of parents just, you know, feed their children normally. So I assume it would be a very low number because a lot of them are so healthy. But it's the fact that there's just not a lot of them around.
So there's thousands of vegan parents in New Zealand raising thousands of vegan children.
Okay, but compare thousands to millions. Then you're in a completely different territory. You're in a different, tank of sharks here.
Okay, but still, over the course of years, how many vegans would we expect to be represented in those in any group of nutritionally deficient children?
I'd say when people are testing this, maybe 200 to a few thousand or something.
Okay. Well, what if I told you that number was 0?
0? Oh wow, they're very uncommon. Yes, I do see that. There aren't a lot of people.
Okay.
I mean, they probably tested a few. Yeah.
Okay. So now among non-vegans, like I said, we have about 5,000 kids a year, just under the age of 2, just in one hospital, just in Auckland, with nutritional deficiencies. Okay, none of them are vegan. Right? About every year or two, some wackos who say who, for whatever reasons, they say they're vegan. In most cases, they aren't. They make international news because their kid has a nutritional deficiency. So, if we look at the vast, huge numbers of non-vegans who have nutritional deficiencies as children, and we look at it's literally so rare that when it does happen, they have to spin the story to make it seem like the parents are vegan when usually they're not. And in all the cases, they're just completely insane. And it's international news when it happens. So when was the last time you read a headline about these 5,000 kids a year in Auckland, here in New Zealand?
No clue. I don't read the news.
Okay, but you think it might be sensationalized on the incredibly rare occasion that a vegan does have a nutrient deficiency? You think that's sensationalized? While in our society we have
still growing and developing. Like I mean, nutritional deficiencies are most often caused not just by veganisms, but vegan stuff. More or less, just parents being dicks.
Right, and that can happen just as it's probably more likely to happen with people who aren't vegans, because the people who are vegans are more likely to actually understand what nutrients they are getting and need more of or less of.
I mean, when kids are growing, they need more vegetables. That's just it. They need to grow. So I mean, being vegan is maybe a good thing. For like a kid, I think that's good. So I think it is healthy for a kid, but at a further age, when you need, muscles are still growing, you need a lot of that iron. I don't think, unless you're eating entirely off of beans, then.
And why would somebody need entirely beans?
Because apparently that's really good for iron.
There's a lot of good vegan sources for iron, but I guess you only know about beans?
Well, spinach as well.
Yep, that's another good source of iron, but again, it seems like you're arguing from a place of not really knowing all the information.
Well, I don't really know the information. All I know is that some people I have known have had pretty, shitty experiences with going vegan. And either need to take supplemental pills with them, which is actually probably a good option, or just stop being vegan entirely.
And what kind of supplements did people need to take, do you know?
Like vitamin C's, iron pills. I don't know exactly. I didn't really bother to ask. All I know is that it was a big problem for them.
And were they eating healthy, or were they eating vegan junk food?
Well, just vegan food. I don't know what vegans eat. Spinach, they eat carrots, they eat potatoes. I have to go to class soon if that's fine.
Okay.
My teacher just walked by, so.
All right.
Not now, but before. And
okay.
All my friends have left, so they're going back to class.
All right. No, thanks for taking the time.
No problem.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too.